Hello, hello. This is Sheri from the Sheri Kaye Hoff Show, where we focus on living joyfully and successfully in your life and business. You can find us at sherikayhoff.com. That's SherikayEHoff.com.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Grow Your Business with Your Intuitive Skills. I want to say a huge welcome to all of my Facebook group members, the Your Path to Success group on Facebook, and also to all of my Living Joyfully Show podcast listeners, and to all the people on my list who are going to be listening to the replay or maybe listening live right now. So we are really going to have some fun here today. So I'm Sheri Kaye Hoff. I am a business coach and life coach when I specialize in intuitive coaching, mindset mastery, and business planning and business success. So I work with a lot of coaches, consultants, small business owners, online business owners, and boutique online. So, if you have $100 million a year company, I probably don't coach you, or maybe I do some team building coaching for your company. So I love, love, love small business. I love micro business. I love solopreneurs. So we're going to have a lot of fun here today. So I want you to be ready for an experience. And if you have a notebook, you can take some notes. You can also, for people who are listening on Instant Telesummit, you can type in questions in the Q&A box for people who are live. And actually, you can also type in questions listening to the replay as well. And you can email me at Sheri, S-H-E-R-I, at sherikayhoff.com. And there is a worksheet. So you can get that worksheet at sherikayhoff.com, SherikayEHoff.com /intuition. And there's the worksheet right there. And I am going to upload the worksheet to my Facebook group as well. I apologize I didn't do that. If you're listening on Instant Teleseminar, there's a link that says worksheet. And you aren't going to miss out if you're not doing the worksheet while we're talking, because it's kind of additional to help you really dial into your intuition. So the keys to using intuition to grow your business. So I want you to think right now of how you've been growing your business. So you probably had some wonderful flowing, intuitive, ease and flow, full of passion and purpose type of moments. And you've probably had that, deer in the headlight look too, where you have information overload, you've taken too many webinars, you've gotten too much advice, and you constantly have, or maybe not constantly, but you've had that feeling of you're not doing anything right. I remember being super concerned about my SEO on my website. And, I went through a couple of weeks where that's all I could think of. And SEO, search engine optimization, is important. Of course, it's important. And there are SEO experts out there that you can hire. But I upgraded the SEO software that I had on my website. And I was able to see the measurement of my pages. And almost all of my pages had a score of 80 or higher. And your goal is really to have at least a score between 60 and 80. And for your headlines, you want to have your headlines of your blog posts and your pages score, at least 40, between 60, but if you can get a score of 70 or above, that's even better. So, and almost all of mine already do that. So it was kind of a big nothing burger for me to get all upset and worried about it. And of course, I didn't start from zero knowledge of SEO, okay? And I help people with SEO. But, we can go through that where we listen to an expert and then we think, oh my gosh, is there something wrong with my site? And that's why I wanted to really talk to you today about using your intuition to grow your business and how it serves you so well, especially when you are the person who is the main driver of your business. It's probably your personality, your skills, your knowledge that you have that is pushing your business forward and the reason why you are in business. And so you have this big veil of responsibility that, if you have an accountant, you had to find that accountant. If you have a coach, you had to find that coach. If you had, all of the help that you have, you still had to know to go and find those people. And if you don't have help, you have to figure it all out yourself. And that's part of the adventure and fun of having a business. But some people become kind of paralyzed in the decision-making process. So we're going to help you break free of some of that. And I'm excited for that. So just a huge welcome. And we're probably going to be, about 30 or 40 minutes here on the call. So it's not going to be a big, long hour and a half class. These are some of the places that you can find me: Apple Podcasts, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, iHeartRadio, actually syndicated podcasts all over the world. So, again, you can always ask me questions. I love answering questions. You can even go to my website and go to the contact form and ask me a question. So again, the worksheet, I'll upload it to the Facebook group, but it's also available right now at SheriKayhoff.com, SheriKayehOff.com/intuition. So wanted to make that fairly easy for you to find. And if you see a big blank spot above it, I have the coding already for the replay to go there. So if you see like a blank screen, don't worry about it. Just go below and download the worksheet. Oh, this is a good time to grab your note. Why some things just are not working. Okay, so the first thing is to know your personality style and know how you work. And you can there's a bazillion assessments out there. There's Myers-Briggs, there's the Enneagram, there's DISC, there's a book called The Sweet Spot that is really good, where it divides you into kind of like an archetype. And I'm not a fan of putting myself in a box. And usually when I do an assessment, I feel like I'm I'm never one perfect definition, but you start to get insights as to why certain things work better for you than other things work for you. So for example, my dad is the complete opposite personality style for me. And so the things that worked for him didn't necessarily work out for me when I was growing up in terms of, the best and highest good for using like my creativity and my skills. I figured it out, but it was that feeling of, I definitely knew his style wasn't my style. So this is why, like you might read a really cool book called Atomic Habits. I love it. It's by James Clear. And you start to try to implement habits and it doesn't work for you, or you create a lot of resistance and you just can't seem to do it. Or you're trying to write a book and you are, you just can't sit down in front of that computer and start writing, and you tell yourself every day I'm going to write 500 words. And there are books out there saying the way to write a book is to, write a certain number of word count every day, no matter what. And you know what? That works for some personality types and some people with certain skills in that direction. But there are people who, they're kind of called, I had someone call people spurt workers, where you might have kind of like a stretch of nothingness. Maybe you call it writer's block, or you call it, procrastination. And really what's happening during that time is a lot of simmering, cooking on the back burner is happening. And then you have wild creativity or wild productivity, and you have, like a month or 2 months of getting more done than just about almost all other people. And that's okay if you're like that. So a couple things if you're like that, where, first of all, I want you to stop calling yourself a procrastinator. Yes, there are times when we procrastinate. A lot of times it's resistance. And the other thing is, if you have that personality that does that, one of the parts of your personality is also probably perfectionism. So the first thing I want you to do is believe in yourself that the creativity, the person, the passion, the purpose, and the passion are going to bubble forward. So, and we're going to talk about ways to do that if that's the situation that you're in. Now, you could be the opposite, and we're going to talk about this down here on the slide a little bit more, but where you're a very structured, disciplined person, but you have a really hard time with big picture vision kind of thinking. Okay, and then you might be a kind of person that you just love everybody, and you have a really hard time asking for what you want. And these are just some personality types, but how you are and how you function in your life, how you learn, it all impacts how your business grows. So, the thing to ask yourself is, are your structures, systems, and processes opposing your style and the way that you learn and do things? So I'm kind of a hybrid. I like structure and I like big, wide open spaces for creativity. But what I've noticed for me is that I have the most growth in my business when I measure my business success by how much joy, ease, and flow I'm having in my business. Now, ease doesn't mean easy. There's definitely effort there, but it doesn't feel, like heavy, painful. And so I don't measure, even though, yes, I do look at, and I like to see growth, and I do see growth. And, I grew up a competitive person. I was a competitive athlete. So I like to measure things. I do. But it's more effective to me to assess on a daily basis, how much joy am I feeling? Because if I don't ask that question, I end up burning out. I struggle with my sleep. I struggle with, migraines, things like that. And I don't even notice until I'm kind of off the deep end. So it works for me. It might not work for someone else. Someone else might say, I can't, I need structure. And I have clients who, structure is super important, and we do that. And I also have clients who it's way more important for them to kind of like open up like a flower and let their creativity just kind of bubble up. So it's really important to find what works for you. And how do you know what works for you is you start using your intuition, and we're going to practice some of that. And it's also important to be okay with where you are right now and accept how things are right now. Because that resistance, again, yields more procrastination, more misery, and also you can just sort of feel like paralyzed, like you can't move forward. The other thing to look at is, are you embracing an entrepreneurial spirit? So most of you are in your business not because you wanted to be an entrepreneur. Maybe some of you, had lemonade stands when you were a kid and always did something entrepreneurial, and you knew, I want to be a business owner. But for a lot of you, you fell into it because you ended up being really good at something. And you decided, hey, I want to see if this is going to work as a business. So, again, there are many different types of entrepreneurs, and we think of entrepreneur and we think of like Mark Cuban or, Elon Musk or, Jeff Bezos. But entrepreneur just means that you are a creator. You get comfortable with risk, you're starting things. So you can actually work for someone else and have an entrepreneurial spirit. So don't be afraid of that word, just embrace that word. So let's talk about the accidental entrepreneur versus the accountant entrepreneur. So sometimes people, again, find that they are in business because they're good at something and they never thought they'd start a business, and then all of a sudden they're running a business and maybe the business is running them, but they run their business maybe completely on intuition or feelings or things like that. And again, we're going to talk about how to do that, but you also have to balance it out with wisdom and knowledge and all of that good stuff. So let's do the kind of polar opposites, the accidental entrepreneur versus the accountant entrepreneur. So the accountant entrepreneur is going to go into business having thought about funding and how the business is going to be set up and bookkeeping and accounting and all of that, and they're going to make decisions from an accountant perspective. So the accountant entrepreneur is going to really struggle with that accidental entrepreneur personality. So if you're in partnership with someone like that, it doesn't mean they don't work. It doesn't work because you do balance each other out, but you have to understand that you both come at things in a different way. And then there's the methodical entrepreneur versus the big vision entrepreneur. So the methodical entrepreneur is very focused, like in the day-to-day tasks and getting things done. And the big vision entrepreneur is someone who can see, like in, 5 years, I want to have a $25 million company. They have that vision. They have the vision for expansion. And so the thing that can happen, the big vision person can get lost in not taking care of the daily things. The methodical entrepreneur can never end up where they really wanted to be heading because they didn't put enough thought into that big vision. So you can see there are strengths and weaknesses to every personality type. And the most important thing is that you just embrace your strengths and, even look at potential weaknesses that they can become strengths, or at least know what to do. Okay. So let's segue into talking about intuition. So, when I say the word intuition, I'm not really talking about psychic powers, but I kind of am. Okay, so I'm not, don't imagine somebody with a crystal ball, trying to tell someone their future. But intuition does go beyond, traditional, like wisdom and facts and knowledge pieces. Okay, it's a feeling of just knowing that something is the right decision or knowing your next right step. And this is something, your intuition is something that keeps you safe. I mean, how many times in your life have you taken a different way to work and then found out there was a big accident, on the path that you usually took? Or you just had a feeling someone was going to call you and they called you within a minute or two. I can remember I was sleeping and I heard my daughter go, "Mom." And she wasn't even home. She didn't even live at home. And I sat up and it was so clear that I felt like, my daughter called out to me. So it was like 3 a.m. and I called her phone and she answered it. She was awake. She's in her 20s. They're up all night, right? So, she said, "Mom, what are you doing up?" And I said, "Well, I was sleeping and I heard you say my name. I heard you say Mom. And I just wanted to make sure you were okay." And she said, "Oh yeah, we're just sitting around the table and I was talking about you." And talk about an intuitive connection. So we all have experiences like that. So when you look at using your intuition purposefully to grow your business, you're learning to channel some of those things to let it become something even more powerful and even more helpful in your life. So you might have the experience of knowing the answer, but you're not sure why you know it. When I was in high school with math classes, I was one of those kids that I could look at a problem and go, the answer is this. And I had no idea how I got the answer, but I just intuitively knew it. I could look at it and know it. When I worked in the corporate world, I could look, open up a book of data and I could just glance at it and go, there's something that's not right here. And then I would be able to find the mistake. but I would instantly know there was something that wasn't right. So I just want you to think about all the times in your life where you have had something like that happen. I'm just checked the Q&A box. Happy Monday back. Yay. For people who are listening on the replay, you could be listening any day of the week, but the live event is a Monday. So you can improve your intuition through practice, and also you can learn how to trust yourself even more. So how would you love to know? Because sometimes people say, I don't even know what I would really ask. So here are the things I don't want to know. I don't want to know the day that I'm going to die. I don't like to know what's going to happen 3 days in the future, because how I feel is I could change my mind about one little thing, and then that whole future would change. And I don't like it when people ask me, can you tell me, if I'm getting the job next week or something like that. Because again, the future is changing constantly, and there are tons of paths of the future. But when it comes to things like, what does my client need to hear from me? Or, what is the best gym for me to work out at? Things like that, where, yes, you gather some facts, but when you have that, maybe indecision, you're going to let your intuition override it. And even things like, I remember one time writing a book that was a whole different topic, and I kept getting nudged to write something completely different. And I felt that nudging, and I was like, fine, I'll write about this other topic. And then everything just flowed out, and that book was done in 5.5 weeks. So some things that you can work on knowing, and really let's not say work, let's say allow, but your next step in your business, entire plans or outlines, you can ask a question, before you go to sleep, what should my next course be that I offer to my people, or what is my next product offering? And then you could wake up in the morning with, a whole idea. I woke up one morning with a whole book outline. So it happens, people. Meeting the right people, just asking for the right people to come into your life, and that you'll recognize when it's the right person. Marketing content. This is, I think, one of the most helpful things about using your intuition in your business, because one of the most frequent questions I get from people are, I don't know what to put in an email that I send out to people, or what's the perfect email to write? What must I have in that email? And they're losing sight of the fact that they're talking to someone who's potentially their optimal client, their ideal client. So using your intuition to help you trust that the words that you're sending out, not just the words, but the energy that you're sending out, are the things that your people who are meant to work with you are meant to hear and need to hear from you. And then one of my favorite questions is, how can I create more ease and flow? So when you ask questions around these topics, and the topics could be endless, right? But if you're asking questions, then what you have to do, this is a practice part, is let yourself not try to logically think through it. Okay? Let the answer come to you. So here are some intentions, because when I started realizing really how intuitive I was several years ago, it's scary for me. So some things that I learned are that I can set the intention that I'm safe, and that I only want beneficial information. And I don't mean that all the information is positive, but information that is helpful to me or someone in my life. Oh, excuse me. Big sneeze there. Sorry about that. So you only want beneficial information, and then only beneficial information will come forward, because sometimes when you realize And every single person is intuitive. And when you realize that you have this, then it's like, oh, I want to know everything. And it's just too much. It's like trying to read everything on the internet at one time. Okay, so set the intention that only beneficial information will come forward, and you always want to respect other people's energy. Like, sometimes if I'm in a conversation with something really powerful will come through, and, like it might prompt me to say, is everything okay? All right. But I don't try to figure out other people's energy, because it's a waste of my own energy, and it isn't, to me, ethical. Okay, so if I'm working with a client and we're doing intuitive work, it's always a permission. Okay, and then also I encourage people to decide what information that they are comfortable having come forward. Okay, so, all right, checking the Q&A box. So it's integrity in everything, really. So one of the beginning steps is to start noticing in your life and journal these things. Like, notice synchronicities when things just seem to come together in, just a beautiful, interesting way that you could never have predicted, if you logically thought about it. Notice what feels really like you. So this is about really getting to know who you are. So for those people who are multi-passionate entrepreneurs or multi-passionate people, like you have many, many things that you love to do, and you're having a hard time deciding, or you feel like maybe I don't know what I want to do when I grow up, you can do this, and that is when you watch a movie, when you read a book, when you have conversations, when you're on social media, anywhere, when you're outdoors interacting with, animals, people, just start noticing what really feels like you. And try to notice the positive things, because sometimes you'll watch a film and the person's a train wreck and you're like, oh my gosh, that's totally me. That's not what I'm after here. But things that really resonate, messages that really resonate, things that seem exciting, and just start writing those things down. And that will help you, first of all, have more self-awareness, but it will help you, especially if you have a group, like a coaching group or a product, and you're trying to come up with a name of it. How many times do you sit there and you just feel like you just start trying to overthink it, and then it just seems impossible? I kind of had a little bit of that feeling when my daughter got her dog 2 years ago, and we were trying to come up with the perfect name. And one of the first things I said when my daughter got the dog is I said, how about Lady, like Lady and the Tramp? And that was my kids, one of their favorite movies when they were growing up, one of their favorite Disney movies. And everyone said, oh, that's cute, and then went through like 1,000 different names, asked everybody on Facebook what we should name the dog, and guess what her name is? Lady. Okay. So sometimes those things that we feel like, oh, this is just right, and it's like, the names of my kids, it just was the right name. So notice what feels like you. Notice physical sensations. Have you ever been talking to someone and you got goosebumps? And I mean, in a good, positive way. I suppose I could mean in a scared way too, because those physical sensations can keep you safe too. So starting to notice that, and also noticing your heart and your gut reaction. I had someone close to me pass away a couple weeks ago, and when I thought about her, I didn't know she had died yet, but I got like a stabbing feeling in my heart, like just, I felt like, oh, did I pull my muscle? And it was, that heart connection of missing her, even though I didn't know she was gone yet. Notice your heart, notice your gut reactions. Again, notice. All right. And you don't have to think, oh, everything's a sign. It's more just, oh, I see that that's happening. Does that mean something? Or is that a little piece of information for me? Other things are timing before bed. So get in the habit of just asking questions that you're not trying to strain your brain to figure out. So I'll say something before I go to bed. I'll climb into bed and I'll say, what's the best thing for me to do tomorrow? And I'll wake up with a great idea. I mean, of course I have a plan. I use my planner and I have stuff written out, but I'm always allowing for something surprising and magical and exciting. Another good time is when you wake up in the morning. So when you wake up in the morning, you're in kind of that in-between sleep and waking up. So noticing, oh, do I have any thoughts that are coming to me about the question I asked last night or about anything else? One of the best stories that I've ever had about anything like this happening is I was sleeping and I woke up in the middle of the night, and this is when I was finishing my bachelor's degree and going on to get my master's degree. And I was already getting signed up for my master's degree. And I woke up and I had that feeling there's something wrong with my degree. So I went to my college and I went to the registrar's office and I said, I don't know why. I mean, all my work is turned in. I know what all of my grades are, but I feel like there's something wrong, and I couldn't stop myself for coming in here. And they looked and they're like, oh my gosh, a 1 credit class that I had to take was supposed to be graded only pass or fail, and the instructor had put in a letter grade. And if that hadn't been fixed that day, I wouldn't have graduated until it was December. I wouldn't have graduated until spring. I mean, that's how crazy the red tape is at the higher education level. So pay attention. During and after journaling, I like to end my journaling sessions with a question. And then I don't sit there and think about it. I just write the question out and I just let, the intuition, the guidance come. And then during and after meditating, and also whenever you want. All right, so I'm going to give you a prompt to write down, and I don't want you to think about it right now, but I just want you to notice what happens in the next couple days. So this is, what is the most profitable and helpful biz move I can make for the best and highest good for my clients, customers, and me? Okay, the most profitable and helpful business move for the best and highest good. I like to always add the best and highest good because I'll have people say, well, I don't want anything to be unfair, or even that feeling if things go really well for me, it means that something is going to go bad for someone else. So if we have that intention, always the best and highest good, then we're working for the good of all, for the good of everybody. All right, so I know what's in your mind is you're thinking, okay, Sheri is telling us to be open and to ask questions, but how do we actually open our intuition? Because for a lot of us, that intuition, we know we have it sometimes, but it's kind of closed off, and we second guess ourselves when we do get an intuitive hit. So one of my favorite techniques is to use tapping to increase your intuition. So tapping is emotional freedom technique, and it helps you shift your energy, and it works. People say, well, I don't even know how it works. It's been used for years and years. And almost everyone that I ever tap with has some kind of energetic shift, but it's based on some of the same ideas as acupuncture, energy meridians in the body. So we're going to tap on being open to knowing, trusting your intuitive information, having confidence in your ability, and letting go. So I put together some pictures of this lovely woman on Canva. So for people who are on Instant Teleseminar looking at the slides, you can actually see the tapping points. And if you're going to sherikhoff.com/intuition, I'm also going to put a video up there, how to tap, and then I'll put this photo up there that shows you the tapping points. But I use a practice called modified tapping, meaning don't worry about whether you start in the right place or you hit all the tapping points. You could stay on one tapping point the entire time, which we've actually been doing during COVID. We've been tapping on the collarbone instead of any places on your face. But we'll go through the side of the hand is what we do as a turnaround. So a turnaround statement. And then there's above the eyes, side of the eyes, under the eye, under the nose, your chin, your collarbone, under your arm, and the top of your head. Now, when I tap, I practically never do under the arm because I've got a headset and I've got, phone and computer and everything. So again, you don't have to hit every part, but for those of you who are diehard tapping technique people, go ahead and hit all those spots. If you do touch your face, please make sure that your hands are disinfected. It's a little COVID thing that we're adding. So let's go ahead and do a little round here. So you feel your feet on the ground. Just take a nice deep breath in and out. And you're going to tap on the side of your hand, the karate chop point. Even though I don't completely trust my intuition, I love and accept myself. And you'll just echo that statement. Even though I struggle with trusting my intuition, I love and accept myself. I'm not sure I can trust my intuition. I love and accept myself. And then now we're going to do what's called breaking it down. So you're going to tap on your collarbone and you can just stay there the whole time, or you can move around to the different points. So in breaking it down, we're kind of lifting some limiting beliefs, the feelings that you already have. So we're not reinforcing them. We're just processing through. I'm way too logical to use intuition. I'm not sure I believe in intuitive skills. I want to believe I can use my intuition. I struggle with the idea of trusting. All these feelings are completely normal. I love, honor, and accept myself. Now we're going to do the bridge, which is the beliefs that you have that you kind of already believe in. I've had intuitive moments. I sometimes just know something is the right thing. I get that gut feeling. I get that feeling in my heart. I feel it in my body. I know that feeling. Then now we're going to lock in creating new beliefs on a cellular and DNA level. I'm activating powerful intuition. On a cellular and DNA level, I'm activating safety. On a cellular and DNA level, I'm activating only beneficial information. On a cellular and DNA level, I'm activating the wisdom to know when I'm in alignment. On a cellular and DNA level, I'm amplifying my intuitive skills. On a cellular and DNA level, I'm activating this super strong inner compass. On a cellular and DNA level, I'm activating the knowledge to sift through all the options out there and to choose what is the most important for me. On a cellular and DNA level, I'm activating my optimal clients. On a cellular and DNA level, I'm activating my marketing to be in alignment with my optimal clients. On a cellular and DNA level, I'm activating my business success. On a cellular and DNA level, I'm activating ease and flow. On a cellular and DNA level, I'm activating love and kindness. I'm open to intuitive information. I'm receiving guidance right now. I trust myself. Everything is always working out for me. Everything I touch prospers and succeeds. All is well. And so it is. And go ahead and take a nice deep breath in and out. That felt pretty good. So that was an activation to get your intuition going even stronger. So keep a journal as you set the intention to have more intuition, more intuitive things coming forward, and write things down as you notice, because what will happen is you get to the end of the week and you go, I really didn't feel too intuitive this week, but yet every day something happened. And really, this isn't about being like magical or, although magical and miracles are wonderful, right? I'm not going to discount that, but it's about understanding really what is right for you and what you're lined up with. Because, you get inundated with sales information, and when you heighten your intuitive skills, you'll know that's for me or that isn't for me. And it just helps you sort through and sift through and helps you avoid mistakes. But mistakes are okay, right? They're not the end of the world, but it'll help you have less of them. So I have a couple creative questions that you can write down. What wants to emerge from my business? Like, what wants to come forward? And then what's the best blank for me? So let's say you are looking for a house, a new home. What's the best home for me? Or what's the best neighborhood for me? If you're trying to find new flooring, what's the best flooring company for me? Anything. You can use that for anything. All right, so I'm going to go to the Q&A box. So this was a kind of a crash course in intuition with the idea of using it to apply it to your business and to your life too. But we all have certain strengths when it comes to intuition. One of the things that I have is a really high empathy. So like I might know if the person I'm sitting next to has a headache. A lot of like physical, I feel a lot in my body. And so the part for me to develop that I've been developing is to, not just have that experience, but to have the experience where I can ask a more direct question, like what publisher should I approach? And I think that a lot of the intuitive skills that we have are things that we probably have noticed since childhood and never really thought about developing. But you certainly can use your intuition. If you're intuitive about one thing, you can be intuitive about really anything. And so, sometimes we think, oh, well, that's a no-brainer. It's so easy that I do this one thing. But why not apply it to the thing that is the most perplexing to you in your life and use it there? Why do you have like a big question mark of this part of my life is so difficult? Use your intuition. Use it. So, okay. So for people listening to the podcast, go to SheriKayhoff.com, SheriKayehOff.com for free gifts. And for people who are listening on Instant Teleseminar, you can click. There's some offers on those links, and there are the worksheet for this class that you can use to expand your questioning process. And for everybody listening live, I just thank you so much. I love you. I love that you chose to spend time with me here on this live show. So thank you so much. Have a terrific rest of your week, and I will talk to everybody soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
This episode is sponsored by the Spirit Guided Biz course. You can find out more information at SheriKayhoff.com. That's SheriKayehOff.com.